Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about going from a lack mindset to an abundant mindset. Now, if you feel like your childhood was filled with a lot of lack, as far as your parents maybe saying, we can't afford this, I don't have the funds, we don't have the money, anything of that sort. And mind you, I come from the same childhood. Yes, my parents have done a lot for me, but does my childhood look anything like I want my adulthood to look like? No. And just releasing that belief about ourselves that we come from lack, you have to start changing your belief system to abundance and knowing that you can have what you want to have if you put in the time, if you put in the work, if you put in the effort to achieve greater. We have to get rid of that lack mindset and change it to an abundant one. And thinking of all the things that we do have, all while still working towards the things that we want to have for ourselves or what we want to achieve. Now again, yes, my parents did a lot for me, and I thank them for everything that they have done, but when you're in a childhood where things feel scarce or things cannot happen, you tend to pick up on that mental headspace. And when you're carrying it into your adulthood, you may feel guilty of wanting to achieve success. Now, I know this is something that I have had a struggle with, and one of my biggest challenges is going from a lack mindset to an abundant one. From the things that I didn't have as a child and the things that I want now, and just releasing the guilt of wanting success for myself and wanting more for myself, especially if that's what you've heard growing up. You have to know that you are deserving of more when you put in the time, and when you put in the effort, and when you put in the work. No more of the lack mindset, and we have to start believing in ourselves and believing that what we want we can achieve and we are deserving. It is only when you are putting that effort that you are deserving of it. And I know it's easier said than done, and if you want to know ways that you can start flipping this mindset, is start being grateful for the things that you have now, all while working for what it is that you want. When you focus too much on the things that you don't have, that starts to consume you, and you start to believe that you are not capable of more. But when you start being grateful for the little things that you have, like a roof over your head, a car to get you from point A to point B, a job to go to every day, then you have a lot more to be grateful for than you may think. No, it's probably not a designer purse, it's probably not the car that you want, but just knowing that and accepting the things that you do have and being grateful for them allows abundance to come into your life for more, because it shows that you appreciate everything that you have while working towards what you want. And that is when abundance starts to flow, when things start to come your way and you attract what it is that you want. Is when you start being appreciative for all that you have in this current moment while you're working towards what you want in the future. And like I said, this is one of my biggest challenges in my self-growth journey, is what I knew my childhood to be and knowing that what I want my future to look like is much greater. The things that I didn't have as a child and wanting the things that I want now is like night and day. But I've noticed that when I start to work on myself and heal all that needs to be done within the inside, that my outer world starts to grow and I start to attract the things that I want for myself, the opportunities, the experiences, and so on. But you have to know that you're deserving of it. You have to accept things for the way it is and start changing and reworking your mind and rewiring your brain from what you were told as a child, and start relearning what it is that you want for your future. So the judgment, the things that you were told as a child, you have to start not focusing on that mindset and start focusing on a more abundant one to get you to where you want to be. And with everything, it takes time, it takes patience, and just know that it's going to come someday, but you have to work on yourself. So everything that was projected onto you as a kid, you have to let that go and rewire your mind and relearn yourself for what it is that you want for yourself, what you want your future to look like, what do you believe in, what it is that you want for yourself, the career that you want, the path that you want to take. It's not what your parents want for you. It's not what family wants for you. It's not what your friends want from you. It's not what society thinks you should become. It's what you want to become. And when you start focusing on yourself and putting that energy back into you, that is when the abundance comes. That is when nobody else's opinions or judgment or projections matters. When you start shutting out all of that noise around you and tuning into yourself and relearning yourself and finding your own authenticity and your own voice in order to become that person that you imagine yourself to be. And every day it takes work. Every day you wake up, you have an opportunity to become something greater. You have an opportunity to become more. You have an opportunity to work on yourself. You have the opportunity to change up your routine, to learn a new habit, to learn a new skill. How are you utilizing your everyday life? But if you're waking up in that same pattern, that same routine that is keeping you stagnant and keeping you away from your growth, then the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years are going to look the same if you don't wake up one day and decide to change up your routine. Once you know that you are uncomfortable with how your life is and actively taking the initiative to change it and keeping those promises to yourself from that day forward and moving on, that is when your life will start to change. But you can't just wake up and imagine yourself, oh, I'm going to be that person in 5 years. Like, you can't keep imagining that person. You have to actively start becoming that person. So if this person is well dressed, well put together, wakes up at a certain time, goes to the gym, you can't imagine that person. You can imagine it, but you have to take the steps that is going to get you to become that person. Because I know with myself, I was like, I know I'm going to be successful someday. I just feel it. I know that my life is going to become everything that I dreamed it to be. But I wasn't taking the necessary steps. Had I always just had that imagination in myself, then I would be in the same position that I was 5 years ago to this very day. But no, it takes action. It takes initiative to start learning what you need to learn within yourself and stop putting it off. Stop breaking those promises. You have to stop it all. When you wake up tomorrow, you need to make sure that you're waking up at the time that you promised yourself to wake up. If you promised yourself to go to the gym, you need to go to the gym. If you promise you're going to change up your routine, then you need to change up your routine. If you promise yourself you're going to drink a gallon of water tomorrow, then you need to drink a gallon of water. You can't just wake up and say, I'm not feeling it, because if you operate off of feelings, that is not going to get you very far. If you don't feel like it and you can't work through that discomfort and you always move off how you're feeling, then it's going to take you a lot longer to get to where you want to be. But if you push past the feelings and how you're feeling in the moment and still working through those obstacles, those challenges, and not giving up on yourselves, that's when you start becoming the person that you want to become. That is when you start building resilience and discipline, is when you stop focusing on how you're feeling in the current moment. Because if you keep doing that, that is how your life is going to look. You have to think long term and push past the discomfort. That is the biggest thing, aside from releasing all of the negative things that you've learned in the past and start rewiring your mind to what you believe in. And it takes time, and you must be patient with yourself during this process, because if you're impatient and you're neglecting yourself and you're speaking negatively to yourself, then again, that is not going to get you anywhere. You need to speak kindly. You need to uplift yourself, and you need to stand on everything that it is that you believe in. not what anybody else thinks you should be doing, but what you believe you should be doing, and following through and realizing the steps that you need to take in order to get you there and following through with it. It is only then when you'll start to notice the progress within yourself. And when you start changing that headspace and changing that mindset, that's when the abundance comes. That's when opportunities come knocking at your door. That's when you're feeling better, when your mind is more clearer, because you're taking care of yourself, you're listening to yourself. And I know a lot of us have our intuition, we have the voice inside of our head, we have a lot of signals within us. We have guides within us. So if you know you're feeling uncomfortable about something, then you need to listen to yourself. If you're telling yourself that this is not the job for you anymore, or whatever it may be, the relationship, whatever, you need to listen to that. And you need to take the initiative to change it, to take that risk. A lot of people are afraid of risk, but it is risk that is going to change your life for the greater. Yes, risk is scary. Risk is terrifying, but risk is change. Risk is development. Risk is growth. It's terrifying being in the same position for the last 10 years. When you know you want to be at a certain point, but not taking the initiative to become that person or taking the necessary steps in order to get you there. That's even scarier than taking that risk. Because let me tell you something. Yes, it's scary. Career change is scary. Leaving the relationship is scary. But it's all because of, in that moment, it's the unknown. But when you take that leap and you start to learn this new career path, when you start to open yourself up to other people and knowing what it is that you want for yourself, when you've worked on yourself, knowing your boundaries, knowing what you will and will not tolerate, when you know that this job is not for you anymore, yes, that leap is scary. But guess what? You learn as you grow. And it, like anything, let's say the career that you're trying to leave, you were once a beginner in that career, and how scary was that? But as time goes on, you learn the skill, you learn the job, you learn the task, so it becomes easier. So when you're ready to move on to a new challenge, that challenge is going to be scary because it's new. But you have to think about everything that you've accomplished in the past and know that it's just the same thing. So yes, this new career change is scary, but guess what? 5-6 months in, you'll know it. You've overcome everything, and you'll be so glad you did, because it could potentially bring you more money. It could potentially bring you happiness. It can change your life, and that's with risk. You have to know the right risks though. And a lot of the time you'll know by your inner signals. Once you start listening to your body and what it is that you want, and you start believing in your craft and believing what it is that you want, and knowing that you can overcome anything, because you can. You may not believe that you can, but you can. And once you have that self-confidence and that self-belief that you can, then the ball rolls, and then that task that was so daunting in the beginning becomes easier. You've mastered it, and look, you've tripled your income, you're 10 times happier, etc. Same with a relationship. If you're having trouble leaving a relationship that you know is no longer for you, and everything that is in you is not serving you anymore, it's scary to leave. It's scary to leave that comfort of what you may have known, but sometimes we need that time to sit with ourselves, because it allows us to learn what it is that we need to correct within ourselves, what we will and will not tolerate with the next relationship. And then, who knows? And then look, you've met the person of your dreams, the person that you've always imagined, the person that is more fitting for you, instead of staying with somebody that you're not happy with for the rest of the life, all because you're scared of making that leap. You're scared of leaving. You have to leave fear behind, because it is fear that is holding you back from living your greatest life. Honestly, it is fear that is holding you back. So stop holding on to fear and be more acceptive, be more receptive, and accepting the things as they come. But if you're always rejecting things, if you're always just staying complacent because you're comfortable, then that's what your life is going to look like for the next 10, 20 years. And then when you're 60 years old, 70 years old, you're gonna wish you had done a lot different because your mind is going to change as you grow. When you're 60, you're probably not gonna be afraid to take risks because you've just over the time stopped caring about what other people thought of you. And had you known that earlier on, and especially if you know it earlier on and never take the initiative your whole life, you're going to live in a lot of regret. And that is why I express to you guys and I make this channel, because I know what it's like. But release fear, release judgment, release projection, and learn to be acceptive and receptive and deserving of the things that you want, and taking the risk. Embrace risk, because risk is what's going to change your life for the greater. Yes, it's scary, but with anything, with time, you learn to adapt to it. So what do you want your life to look like? Do you want it to be the same in the next 5-10 years? Or do you want to just take this leap now, get it over with, and possibly change your life in 6 months? It's up to you. And I say this with a lot of love, by the way. That is all for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like my content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more. Bye, guys. Mwah.